A new report shows the dangers of being a Christian in certain parts of the world. Open Doors USA publishes annual World Watch list, and it shows Islamic extremism is the main source of Christian persecution. George Thomas has the story.
From the Middle East to sub-Saharan Africa, Christians are enduring attacks for their faith like never before.
The persecution of Christians is real, it is horrifically violent often, and it is spreading at an unprecedented rate in modern times.
Dr. David Curry is president of Open Doors, a group that monitors religious freedom worldwide. He says Christians face the most persecution for their faith in 2014 than in any other year in recent history.
We have seen the sharpest jump in violent attacks against Christians in the modern era.
Open Doors reports that 4,344 Christians were killed for their faith in 2014, double the number in 2013.
These aren't Christians who are collateral damage in a larger war. These are people who are targeted because they choose to worship Jesus, because they want to read a Bible, and that's shocking.
On Wednesday, the group released its annual World Watch list, ranking the top 50 countries where Christians face the most persecution. North Korea topped the list once again for the 13th year in a row, with some 70,000 Christians reportedly languishing in prison camps.
The government has a paranoia about any ideology which they see as a threat to their cult worship of their leaders. And so they rank enemies of the state. Christians are the #1 enemy of the state in North Korea.
Rounding the top 10 worst violators are Somalia, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Sudan, Iran, Pakistan, Eritrea, and Nigeria. But in a majority of the countries, Curry says elements of one religion above all poses the greatest threat to Christians.
Islamic extremism is a driving force, is really the driving force in 40 of the top 50 countries on the World Watch list.
The majority of the deaths last year happened in Nigeria, where kidnappings and murders by the Islamic group Boko Haram killed 2,484 Christians.
Nigeria needs prayers. Nigeria needs prayers.
Damaris Atson has experienced Boko Haram's wrath firsthand. In 2010, her husband was stabbed to death by the Islamic fighters. She said it has taken the grace of God to forgive her husband's killers.
If I do not forgive, the Lord will not forgive me. So I have to forgive, because Jesus teaches us to forgive one another.
Meanwhile, the terrorist group known as Islamic State, or ISIS, continues to drive hundreds of thousands of Christians from Syria and Iraq. Curry worries their success at targeting minority faiths is giving impetus to other radical groups to pursue similar tactics around the world.
So you have the Islamic State, their tactics, their methodology now being adopted by Boko Haram, by Al-Shabaab, and others. And so I think this means that while this year was the worst ever, things look very troubling for years to come.
Open Doors says the World Watch list is a wake-up call to the tragic suffering of Christians around the world.
We need to make the persecuted church an issue of prayer and a support because there's a genocide happening.
George Thomas, CBN News.